the largest point drop on Wall Street ever. What happens now?
Well, what happens now is that it sounds like the same fools who brought you this effort are going to try again. Henry Paulson saying he's going to come right back suggests he's not learning, and he's not paying attention to the Congress. These Congress people are all at home in their home districts, nearly every one of them, and they're hearing an earful. The American people don't want to hear this nonsense about $700 billion to bail out financial institutions, frankly, Karen, that don't need it. Economist after economist with whom I've spoken, CEOs, they acknowledge that there are far better ways to deal with the issues confronting our financial system than this bailout. And it's absolutely obscenely irresponsible of House Speaker Pelosi, Treasury Secretary Paulson, President Bush, Senator Harry Reid, the leader of the Senate, for these people to be clucking about like hysterical so hysterically. It really must stop. And to hear these, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, you say that there's other ways around this. One of the things that everyone keeps talking about is the fact that credit markets are frozen, and there has to be some way to free that up so that everyday business from Wall Street to Main Street can continue. Do you buy that?
No, not at all, and neither do most of the CEOs and economists with whom I'm speaking, certainly. The real issue, they say, is liquidity. The Fed has injected more than $500 million in liquidity into this banking system. What we are watching are business, quote-unquote, leaders who won't surface and put their faces before the American public, who are hysterical, absolutely hysterical. These are not leaders of moment. They are not leaders of great character or vision. Only Warren Buffett has had the courage to step forward, and that's after he puts $5 billion into Goldman Sachs. To watch our political leaders, they have no idea in the world, Karen, what they're doing, literally. And the arrogance with which this administration asks for not only money, almost $1 trillion and surely more in the months ahead, but the absolute power for Treasury Secretary Paulson. Give me a break. The American people want this stopped. Those congressmen and women at home right now in their districts are getting an earful because this is an absurdity and it has to end.
So in one way, you're knocking Congress, but on the other, you're saying that I guess the system worked in that the brakes were pulled, whether you agree with the reasons why it didn't go through. So weren't they doing their job and showing leadership?
I'm saying the leadership, I'm saying the Democratic leadership of this Congress was absolutely in the same situation as this president. They don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to ram this thing down the people's throat and Congress. And those House Republicans and House Democrats who voted against this bailout deserve a great expression of thanks from the American people. Absolutely.
What do you think, if you were up there making decisions, what do you think we need to do?
Well, the first thing we need to do is return to a traditional role of regulation. We are looking, the problem here is not simply the housing market. We're talking about $700 billion, and nothing in that bill deals with the foreclosure crisis, if you can imagine that. That's arrogance, that's stupidity, that is your leadership in Washington, D.C., Democratic leadership in Congress and Republican leadership in the White House. So that's an absurdity. The first thing that has to be dealt with is mitigating the foreclosure crisis, period. Secondly, in terms of instilling confidence in the banking system and in our credit markets, the first thing to do is to deal with those institutions that are wildly out of balance, whose balance sheets, frankly, are a joke. And the regulators who should have been tending to them over the years are also a joke. It's time to end the joke. That means aggressive regulation. It means aggressive intervention on an institution-by-institution basis.
All right, well, they're going to take this up again today or throughout the week as they try to figure out what the best course of action is.
Yeah,
maybe they should listen to you a little bit more.
They'll be back Thursday.
Right.
They'll be back Thursday and try this nonsense all over again, Karen.
I'm sure the frantic phone calls are going to continue, though, throughout the holidays. Lou Dobbs, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Coming up now in the top of the hour, and here's a check of our top stories this morning. After a record stock market slide, signs point to a rebound on Wall Street today.